said he's just a friend.
Color right here on the BigVitoBrand.com. And I am burnt to a crisp virtue from sitting out in the sun yesterday, being joined by the man himself, Tan Big Vito LaGrasso. What's up?
How's everybody doing? It's the BIGV from the LOG coming to you live, baby, live on this great Sunday. And the sunburn really looks good on you. Looks like you've been vacationing on no DQ money. But did you see the update, with Caitlin and Aaron Riff having a wonderful day? The going back and forth has been outstanding on Facebook.
He was sitting out in the sunshine. They were on a bridge or something over the river. I don't know, but yeah, and it's with the nice weather approaching for spring and summertime, we are going to be bombarded with those photos.
I can imagine, the producer, Noah Harlow, is still vacationing out in Pennsylvania, and she has been putting up some fabulous photos, especially of her favorite iced tea, Turkey Hill. Do you have Turkey Hill iced tea up by you?
No.
Let me tell you something. This Turkey Hill iced tea is like to die for, and all Pennsylvanians, this is like Dracula. It's their red blood. They need it.
Is it liquor?
No, it's just regular iced tea. It's like something special for them, It's like possum pie, you know what I'm saying? It's like what they do up there.
I've never eaten a possum in my life.
Oh.
Not that they told you, but you have.
No.
Gross.
Maybe, her family is a bunch of hunters, and I'm sure they've caught a couple of possum in their clan.
Who hunts? Nobody hunts.
What
Who's
are you
a hunter?
talking about? Voice from beyond. The Pyatt's hunt. Those are hunters.
Those aren't my relatives.
They're your cousins, Joe.
No,
There's a
they
lot
are
of
not.
woods in PA.
Pardon me?
There's a lot of woods in PA.
My father takes pictures. That's the only thing he shoots is photos.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but check this out, right? In her neighborhood, right, which is an undisclosed location in the upper part of Pennsylvania, they actually have fox hunts on her block.
I live in the lower part of Pennsylvania, near
I
Philly.
mean, the higher class, where all the fox hunters are wearing their, uniforms, and they have the boots, and they have the good horses that are clean and stuff like that.
It's a rich people area. Rich people. So they go fox hunting, and Vito ran into a fox hunt one time, and he didn't appreciate it.
That would be funny to watch. There needs to be a camera crew with Vito for that.
He got scared.
I didn't get scared. It's just that they were going to mess up my shoe.
There's no golf course. There's no softball field. There's no pool, no jacuzzi, no tanning bed. That's not where he belongs.
They have golf courses. They have lots of softball. It's huge here. I don't know about pools or whatever else, but he used to go to the Salt Vault and the Legion and get loaded. And what else did you do?
Salt Vault, the Legion. They had an LA Fitness that was pretty cool.
They had a really state-of-the-art, brand new LA Fitness here. That's very nice.
Nice.
There's a lot of new places. There's a big world of beer here that he loved. There's cornhole that he loved.
Well, let me ask you this, Vito. Florida or Pennsylvania?
Florida.
See, he didn't even hesitate.
That's fine.
Now, what about you, Noel, between those two?
Me?
Pennsylvania.
Vegas. You can keep both. I'll go live in Vegas. That's where I want to move to. The desert, baby. No allergies. Tons of gambling. Party all night. I'm a Vegas chick.
I go there for vacation. So, Vito.
Yeah.
There is some funny wrestling. I was digging for wrestling topics today. That happens sometimes. Noelle, shout out to Noelle, by the way. It's always fun for her to jump on, and I feel like an idiot now because I just cut her off. So I'm going to just get this right out of the bag here. First topic, Kenny Omega is the Impact world champion, and you know he's the AEW world champion, and I think he holds that AAA championship down there in Mexico as well. These promotions think he's a big deal, but is he outside of Japan? Because he has all these titles like he's something. Well, what do you think here?
My thought process is he's not moving the needle. He is not drawing fans on TV. He's definitely not selling out arenas because where they tape at AEW, they would be jam-packed. I know they're not selling out Impact when he appears. So, it's a fanboy life, and, the promoters like him, so be it. But, I mean, if he went to the WWE, he'd be straight mid-card sensation. They'd give him a push, and then
I think they offered him good money, and he never went there. So that speaks volumes. I think same with the Young Bucks.
Yeah, but you know what? The Young Bucks, how high would they go in the WWE?
Well, WWE doesn't care about the tag division, so probably not very high.
How high would Kenny Omega go in the WWE?
I mean, no higher than Nakamura went, and that was mid-card.
When you look at champions and you look at what they develop, you look at Roman Reigns, right? And you look at the star power, and you look at the charisma, and you look at what he's got going on, right? And the bright lights.
Yep.
Kenny Omega doesn't belong in that sentence.
Yeah, I mean, Roman comes out with pyros now on SmackDown.
But it's not the pyro, it's the presence of a champion. He doesn't have the presence of a champion. When he comes out, it looks like a mook.
Yeah.
I just don't see it.
So, yeah, he has all these titles, okay? I think in AEW, he might be getting ready to feud with Christian Cage. Now, here's some interesting things. This kind of segues to the next topic, but it's the same thing. The rumors on the internet now, Andrade, who was recently released from WWE. Now, I don't know if I think he can compete right away. I just don't.
He doesn't have a 90-day clause.
Yeah. So he wants to work against Omega for that AAA title, probably in Mexico. And then the other rumor is Andrade wants to work Del Rio. So we haven't heard Del Rio since the Page controversy and all that domestic garbage that was going on.
Right.
And he was no-showing shows and all that. So what's your take here with Andrade wanting to stir some things up and wrestle Kenny Omega and wrestle Del Rio?
It's just like everybody wants to fight Mike Tyson and put their name in the hat. He's putting his name in the hat. But what kind of star power is he bringing from the WWE? He's not bringing much. So, I mean, it's a dead issue. When Rusev went to AEW, everybody thought it was going to be a huge deal. And what did it go off like? A very small firecracker.
Yeah.
And right now, he's mid-card and not doing much in the impact he was supposed to have. He's not nowhere near a title shot or a title picture. So what do you do with that?
I mean, they're going to push him when they think it's time, right? That's what – there's too many wrestlers in AEW. I mean, in fact, Vito, they have so much. They have, like, besides Dynamite, they have, like, 2 internet shows now, one on Monday night for YouTube and one on Tuesday night. And those have, like, 10 or 12 matches apiece on them.
Yeah, but it's like they're using that as a developmental. And when you watch some of that stuff, it's not good.
Yeah, but some of that stuff carries right over on Dynamite. So I don't know. I think Andrade will get that match against Omega. I could actually see Andrade win that AAA title, but it all depends on how these promotions. I mean, like you said, if Kenny Omega is not really turning heads, there's no need for him to hold all of these titles. And I know Impact and AEW are intertwined right now because of Don Callis. I would not be surprised if this match with Andrade happens and Omega drops a AAA title to him, and that's the beginning of Kenny losing all these titles. As for Del Rio, I always like a good redemption story too, and I know this guy was a prick and he could have some domestic issues, but I'd really like to see him come back and get respect again. Show up to shows, do them, get over that hurdle of whatever issues he's had before personally. But what do you think when it comes to that? I'm always about second, sometimes third chances. Beyond that, it becomes a habit. And I don't know if these people then can really ever get help the right way. But do you think Del Rio deserves another opportunity, or has he already went too far?
Do you know who Del Rio reminds me of?
Who's that?
Antonio Brown.
That's a good point. So who's his Tom Brady going to be?
His Tom Brady might wind up being Tony Khan. He said, "I'll give you a chance. There's a no-nonsense policy. The minute you forgive, you're gone." And I could see that happening because if they brought Alberto Del Rio to AEW, now he brings a star power. He is a legit champion.
And the controversy that has been around him since he's been gone from WWE, I kind of like that element. I know some people think, oh, that's bad publicity and stuff. I like a redemption story. I like to see people get back to where they were and have their life cleaned up. That's just me.
No, it's a good thing. I hope he makes it. You know what I mean? You know what, guys? You can have a rough go and you could be in the shit house in your life. But at some point, you got to be given a break. I mean, you make all these decisions, you do all this stuff, but you didn't kill nobody. And why are you going to serve a 20-year death sentence for something of an opinion? You realize that if you kill somebody, you're out in 10 years. You do your time. You're on probation, and you're forgiven.
Crazy.
Same thing, guys.
Vito, you know what's been hurting our Twitch viewers when we do this live? Obviously, we always know this is on demand on Twitch all week. It's on Anchor and anything that has audio podcasts, so people still listen to the show. We've been going up against those documentaries on A&E, and tonight the Macho Man one. Have you caught any of those?
No, I have not watched any of them. But I can tell you that the producer, Noelle Harlow, is a huge Macho Man fan. And I know that she's going to catch that documentary.
Trending already.
No, I mean, some of the documentaries are pretty cool. And what's cool about it is that I have been in the ring or been in some of those situations where I was actually present for some of these things. So that's actually pretty nice that, you get to relive it and then you see what goes on and how they present it to the fans. That's where it's at.
I think on Vice too, there's a Brian Pillman Dark Side of the Ring. So I kind of lost track of those Dark Side of the Rings. So I probably want to go back and catch some of those too. I think.
Can I be honest with you? I was never a Brian Pillman fan.
No. Okay, why? I enjoyed Brian Pillman back then, but I was a fan in my teens. It's different, right? You were in the business coming up. You want to elaborate on that at all? I mean, I'm just curious.
He just didn't. He was involved in stuff, but he just didn't do it for me. I think the biggest feud he had was when he was after Steve Austin, going to his house, breaking in and doing stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and then he passed away shortly after that.
Right. And then I compare Brian Pillman, that run, to Eddie Gilbert's run with Jerry Lawler in Memphis, where they were going back and forth and they were hit by a car and they were doing stuff like that. And when you talk about Eddie Gilbert and you talk about Brian Pillman, I put them in the same class. And who else who would be in the same class as that is a Shane Douglas. That middle of the road, you never hit the superstar status. You might have been given the opportunity to, but you kind of fell short. You didn't have enough star power, but you could carry it.
He was big in ECW, but that's a smaller pond.
Right, exactly. And then when it came to him going to WCW, he was in the mix, but he never really got the super duper push because of Flair and all that nonsense that went on with him. And when he went to WWE and the WWF, he clashed. And that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, and they kind of just put him in the Heart Foundation. He was just kind of like a member. Remember, he battled an injury too. He had a shattered ankle or something, so that kind of like kept him from working as soon as he came to WWE, and he had to wait a while. But I'll tell you what, though, I thought his WCW stuff was great. Right? Noel said Hollywood Blondes were DX before DX. I know, Pillman wasn't necessarily a huge star in WCW like Steve Austin, but I'll tell you what, when he went to WCW, he cut that shoot promo in front of those fans, I think in 95 or 96. Vito, to this day, that was the best promo I've ever heard. I know it's not a true promo because it was more like a shoot, but Paul Heyman at least let those guys say whatever the hell they wanted. So what I think of Pillman, that night, that promo to me was electric, but he was injured, and when he went from there to WWE, you're right. Other than the Austin angle, he just didn't have much traction. Unfortunately, he did have the heart condition that nobody knew about. He didn't know about, and it cost him his life. But it's good to hear that perspective from you, though. Ready for this one?
Go ahead.
Guess who's in Impact Wrestling? And now my curiosity is through the roof. Big Cass Morrissey is his name. The Big Cass XL is looking jacked, and he's in Impact Wrestling. And all I can think of is what's next for him. And are we going to see Joe and maybe Enzo pop up? Because Big Cass had all those demons, and nobody heard from him for well over a year, and he's looking jacked. So what's your thoughts on that?
As a single, I just don't think he cuts the mustard on superstar status. If he went back with Enzo, I think you got something.
That's what I'm hoping for.
As far as Samoa Joe, I mean, he's going to go back to Impact. Okay?
Yep. Is he going to get right in the main event mix, do you think?
Say it again?
Right in the main event mix for Joe? Probably.
Yeah, but you look at what the main event is, and you look at the top, what they're doing to the main event guys. They're losing to AEW. Their champions just did a job.
I don't think like Moose. Like if they build like some guys like Moose up into the main event scene, then I could see Joe bad. But like Rich Swann, you're right. That's a cruiserweight, and he's the one that jobbed to Omega.
Guys, I don't see the it factor with Samoa Joe going back. I think Big Cass, like I always said, some guys are good as a single. Some guys need that partner. Big Cass needs that partner. You know what I'm saying? And it's just the way the wrestling business is. You know, you can make it, and as long as you have a good wingman, you'll always be good. If you don't have that wingman, it ain't going to happen for you.
And I'm hoping Enzo shows up because there was like an Impact indie event, but Impact sponsored, where Cass came back and did a match, and Enzo was there with him and cut I think Enzo might have took a bump and cut a promo or whatever. So that's giving me hope that Enzo will show up because that's kind of what I want. To me, he's that entertaining factor, and it worked so well when they were together in WWE, but WWE fucked that over. So it is Absolutely. What it is. Okay, here's an interesting one for you. And you know Bret Hart says whatever the hell he wants, and
yes,
and it holds merit to a point if you think about it. But he was working, in WWE up until '97 when he left after Survivor Series, and that was when I think Rock was Rocky Maivia, but getting put in the Nation, and he elevated after that. But Bret Hart said that Triple H was trying to ruin The Rock. Any thoughts on that? I mean, Triple H got in trouble for the curtain call, and he got de-pushed there for a little while, but then he got lucky because they brought China in, and then the whole DX thing blew up. So was Triple H just trying to, hey, this guy could be a guy taking the spot I want to go for? I mean, if Bret Hart says it, I got to believe it. This can't be an axe to grind. What do you think?
What people forget is I was there during that time.
Yeah. What do you think?
And it is 100% true. He did try to ruin The Rock. It's not a hidden thing. Amongst the boys in the office and everything, he tried to sabotage The Rock.
Now, Vito, you were there. Isn't this interesting that he tried to do that? and he couldn't because The Rock was bound to be a. Do you think that's because The Rock was just bound to be a superstar? That he got through all that?
His star was on the rise and nobody wants to do it. Just like in WCW when Goldberg's star was on the rise and Kevin Nash and the NWO didn't want to admit to Goldberg's rise. And what happened? Goldberg did a job and he should never have been beaten. You know what I'm saying? So when you talk
about the title prod there when Scott Hall shocked him.
Yeah. I mean, not even the shock job, but who's the guy who beat Goldberg but Kevin Nash? Should never have happened. Never in a million years. But they wanted to stop his run, stop his push, stop his greatness. And, you know, The Rock was starbound. Triple H was a great manipulator, great office person, a guy who worked the system. And he did not want The Rock to be bigger than him. And even though he was in the office, he still couldn't do it. The Rock is still a 3 times or 4 time a star as Triple H.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is. Got to deal with it. I was there for it. I know the inside scoop. That really did go down.
And I think Brett has been pretty honest over the years. Even though he left with a grudge, but he went back. So I think anything he said since holds merit. Okay, Vito. So we were talking about Roman Reigns and that star power earlier. And now, I mean, they're really going all in with this head of the table gimmick, mob boss. He's got new music finally. They finally broke him away from that Shield music. The fans, now that Roman's a heel, here we go. All the fans respect him now. And, Roman's this great thing. And, best wrestler in the world. It's funny when he's doing the Vince McMahon stuff like the babyface, John Cena 2.0, people hated Reigns. But where I'm going with this is Reigns beat Daniel Bryan again on SmackDown last Friday, and now Daniel Bryan is no longer on SmackDown. So is this Daniel Bryan transitioning away from full-time, or do you think he ends up on Raw? Does he go to NXT? Because, who knows there? Or do they bring him back with a storyline back to SmackDown? What do you think here?
I think the best place for him to go, honestly, is NXT. Because he hasn't been there. He hasn't done anything. It's kind of sour down in NXT. He'll bring some star power and some viewers down there. And I think the people would like to see it. So I think him losing Roman Reigns, but then going over to NXT, I think would be the jump. And I think the thing to kickstart his career again.
And I can see that happening too. And that would be interesting. Now, here, this sounds confusing. So NXT moved to Tuesday nights because at the time, people, they thought that NBC Universal was going to get the hockey stuff and put that on USA on Wednesday nights. That fell through. Now, guess who landed those hockey games? TNT. And guess who's on Wednesday nights? Dynamite. What do you think is going to happen with all of that?
Honestly, guys,
that hockey draws about the same as Dynamite. Like hockey on cable doesn't draw but maybe 1 million people. So it's like a wash. But I that's just so funny that all these chess pieces are moving and then now TNT gets hockey.
Guys, remember I said the word, it's not moving the needle. Maybe AEW's star power is not moving the needle enough for TNT, TBS, the Superstation. They're just not doing it. So to move something else in and put them in another spot could be. You know what? Know what people forget? You know what was the hottest spot in the world?
On TV?
Saturday night, 6:05, TBS, the Superstation. That would be the perfect place for AEW.
That's a good point. Yeah, because wrestling used to be on Saturday night right around then for years.
Right. And what did you do? You were just sitting home. You either having pizza or you just having a late Saturday meal. You always put on 6:05, the Superstation. Always watch wrestling on Saturday night just before you go out for the evening where you did something. 6:05, the Superstation. You heard it here first. AEW, get that slot. because that could be your money slot.
And with hockey over on TNT, and if they want to put them on Wednesday nights in prime time, where's Dynamite going to go? So that's a possibility. And by the way, Vito, Dynamite unopposed the first week, it did 1.2 million. It dropped to 1.1 the next week. And this past week, it was down to 889,000. And of course, the AEW apologists, oh, well, the Biden speech was on. Dude, how many of those wrestling fans watch politics? So I am very interested to see what Dynamite does this week. If it stays under 1 million, I think we know where it's going to be. Any last thoughts on that?
I I always thought AEW was not $1 million viewer company because of the star power that they have on. I think they're going to stay at the 700 to 900,000 viewers, and I think that's their slot. I think that's what they're destined for.
What
I
do you
think if they
think
move to Saturday night might be a better drawing spot because there is no wrestling on Saturdays, and that might be the time when people are off, people are not working, people are coming home for the evening. What are you going to throw on? The Superstation.
That'd be a good spot, you know. I'm aboard with that for you. What does AEW need if they do want to draw over 1 million, regardless of what night they're on? Are we talking Brock Lesnar type? I mean, I think so.
Guys, you know what they need? They need a star quality like The Rock. They need a mega star to come in there, and they need a prime Hogan. They need a Rock. They need a Shawn Michaels in his prime. They need a Stone Cold Steve Austin. You know, they brought Sting in, it got a pop and went back down. They bring Mike Tyson in, it gets a pop and went back down. But if you had a Stone Cold as your commissioner through AEW, or you had The Rock come on and try to do something, you're going to watch.
That's true. So, Vito, there you have it. There's Getting Color this week. But before we go, as I like to do, is there anything that's on Big Vito's mind this week that we did not cover in the wrestling topics?
Guys,
Mike Tyson, I heard, might be getting a title shot. The Lennox Lewis fight is there more in line for Mike Tyson? What's going on? What's on your mind in general?
Guys, I think this week has just been a week where you're taking in everything and you're looking at the NFL draft. You're looking at all the trades. It's kind of like a sports thing. The Kentucky Derby was yesterday. Really nothing significant to report and nothing that's on my mind. Just everybody, just appreciate everybody. Do your thing. Try to do good things. Pay it forward, and good things will happen.
And guess what, Vito? I was at a party yesterday outside getting a sunburn, and I finally have exchanged a phone number with a female.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
And the big thing about what your announcement is with a female.
Yep. Yeah.
The story will go on.
And it's like, I mean, I can't even talk. I'm flustered. Does that not say it all? Does that not?
It says it all. It's
better
than getting a call from Caitlin, from No DQ saying, good luck in your future endeavors.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait a little bit though to see where this goes before pictures and stuff start coming online. I'm gonna take your advice, and this is gonna be a secretive. I'll update you behind the scenes, of course, but we'll see where this goes. But Vito, another great show. It was kind of a weird week of news, nothing too, newsworthy. So we kind of just pieced some stuff together. But I do know people enjoy listening to your opinions on a Monday and a Tuesday, so we will deliver that as always.
And by the way, we have to mention the sponsor, Goomba Sauce. Everybody knows about Goomba Sauce. It is the #1 sauce and salsa out there. So guys, check it out. Check out Noelle Harlow. She always puts up the good ads. She is the chick with the plan when it comes to Goomba Sauce. Put it out at parties. Have it on Sundays. Do your thing. Goomba Sauce, the sponsor for the Big Vito brand. Close it out, my man.
All right, you can follow Vito over on Twitter at the Big Vito brand. You can follow me over there as well at NoDQ_Virtue. be sure to check out their Patreon, which is patreon.com/thebigvitobrand. But more importantly, everything is on thebigvitobrand.com. This has been another edition of Getting Color. Stay tuned for more content this week coming up. I know Robbie will be back on, and he'll do the Virtue and Vice show with me. But for Big Vito LaGrasso, I am Virtue. We got to get out of here. We got things to do. Thank you for watching and listening. We'll catch you next time.
Riddle B.
Yeah. I feel like Big Vito. Yeah, I feel like Big Vito. Yeah, like Big Vito. Yeah. I said, I'm up next like I got the call from Vito. We not some average Joes, stay escaping from Leos. So call me Big Vito, I got a kick like a shotty. And like Ciroc, you're taking hard shots to the body. They had you in a dress, but you were still styling. And if they talk crap, hit them with the code of silence. Told these haters get on me, your style stays sloppy. Tricking out the rides, I got an iced out jalopy. Cut you off no matter how thin, like salami. So many shots headed towards me, it gotta be a Tommy. Speaking of mafia things, I call it Donnie. So you about to go to sleep, call me Hideo with Tommy. With the GTS, I bet you haven't seen me yet, you seeing stars. I smoked you like a Vito cigar. You're not messing with the squad, especially on the pod. It's no hold bars like this, no DQ.com.